Do you think those kids are in the woods?
From everything I've seen, yes. We got the first call shortly after 11 on Friday morning on the 2nd that there was 2 children lost up here in Lansdowne, and we just deployed the team and got here as fast as we could.
And when you got that first call, did anything stand out about that first call as unique or unusual?
It's not common to have 2 lost subjects in that kind of scenario, so with kids like that, it's not common to have the 2. It's not uncommon, so a pair of hikers is overdue or something like that, but with kids it is a little uncommon to have 2 gone missing.
Have you found anything?
The only thing that we had was the boot prints that everybody, and we still cannot 100% say that they belong to the children, but that was pretty much the only thing that we had.
You think they're in the woods?
I have not been told anything to lead me to any other conclusion at this point.
Why can't you find them?
They're small, they'd be hiding. They would have crawled underneath something probably when they got tired. They could have gone further than what we searched. There's all kinds of scenarios, unfortunately. So we're on Lansdowne Road. It was in one of the areas that was searched extensively, as you can tell from like the flagging tape in the woods. So when teams are tasked, they get a bearing or a waypoint or both for where they are to start. So they come down into the woods and they'll tie a ribbon so they know where their start point is. And then they start on their compass bearing into the woods. As you can see another flag. So this is where they were going straight into the woods. So they're following their bearing, putting their flag line down and searching at the same time. Coming up through all of this stuff.
How much of this is down because of Fiona?
A lot of this is down because of Fiona, and some of it could have come down after the fact, but the vast majority of it was probably from Fiona. So grid searching comes in different types. So we have type 1, type 2, and type 3. A type 1 is fairly open. So if we're looking more for signs of travel or say larger objects, so if we know they have a backpack or something like that, we can space people out, 10, 20 meters apart. And especially if we think somebody's going to be responsive, so they're going to talk to us when they're calling to us, we'll do open. We were doing closed grid or type 2, so teams were very close together because we were expecting children to be hiding. A lot of children that age range will hide. So if we're 20 meters apart in some of these woods, you can't see 2 feet away from you. Like there would be places where teams would be almost able to touch their fingertips together and they couldn't actually see each other through the bushes. It's that thick in places.
So how does this compare to what your teams have been dealing with?
This is actually fairly mild compared to some of the areas.
Mild? It looks like such a mess.
It does look like a mess, and you got the thorn bushes and the deadfalls, but there's places that are actually a lot worse, but there are places that are a little bit better as well.
Mm-hmm. But what would be worse?
A lot more deadfall. You can get places where it's just deadfall on top of deadfall on top of deadfall, and you literally have to crawl underneath of it or climb over top of it.
You were also saying, though, to the general public, don't come help us. Why did you say that?
We don't want the general public in the area because we use a lot of very specialized assets like canines that are looking for the freshest human scent they can find. So if we have somebody from the public go through an area and we don't know, but we were deliberately waiting to send a canine into that area, that canine could get on the track from that person, and then we've just wasted that resource because once that dog's probably done its track, they're probably exhausted and can't go out and do anything else. And same as drones, if we're flying a drone over the area and we get a heat signature from somebody in an area and we can't identify who or what it is, then we have to send GSAR resources in or police resources to confirm who that is. And in the same breath, a lot of it comes down to training. So our people are trained to look for the little things, the footprints, the pieces of clothing that are discarded, the broken branches, the spots where somebody might have crawled in underneath something and had a nap or something like that. So they're very clue sensitive is what we call it. They're clue finders. So we're not just looking for the 2 children, we're looking for all the evidence of them going through the area, which is a big part of what we do. So when the boot print was found, we told the team just to send us the coordinates. We got a picture, yeah, it looks like a children's rubber boot print, which is what we were looking for. Conversed with the incident commander, yeah, we're gonna send. We sent an RCMP canine in. first. Then we sent human tracking teams, so like man trackers. So we have some members that have been trained to do tracking themselves. We sent them in and we did some grid searching in the area to see, just to follow up. And then the RCMP forensics unit went in and did actually a cast of the boot print. We did investigate a few wells and mine shafts. The teams came across them in the woods, so they would look in them as best they could. There was one mine shaft we actually ended up flying a drone into to see if there was any sign of anything going in there, because it wasn't safe to send people in. And there was no sign of any disturbance or anything inside the mine shaft. So I know they're still doing investigation. Anytime a tip comes in, they follow right up on it. So,
Do you feel it's been searched as well as it can be searched?
what has been searched very well. Very extensive. With over 12,000 hours put in on the search. It's pretty much unheard of in this province. All searches are hard unless we have a good ending, obviously, but some hit closer to home than others do. There was members that couldn't bring themselves to call the names, but other people on the team were, so it wasn't impeding the search effort, but because of personal reasons, they couldn't actually physically call for the names themselves.
They just couldn't say the words.
They couldn't get it out, no, for whatever reason they had. And there was people coming to the end of it that, whether it was physically, they were just exhausted, or mentally exhausted, that couldn't return to the search area as well. So we saw a little bit lower numbers on some of the revisit searches that we did with some of the teams.
For that first weekend search, after, the searches scaled back on May 7th,
Yeah.
what were you told when you got that call? Like, why were you going back?
It was actually a conversation. I was meeting with major crimes on a regular basis, going through the paperwork from the search and showing them what was covered and what wasn't covered. And it was actually a conversation had between us that, yeah, there's some areas that we would like to go in and get covered off, either better or new areas that we said, well, there's a possibility, so we want to just go search those areas as well. So it's not uncommon for us to go back to a search if we haven't found something.
What prompted then the second weekend search?
Basically the same thing, just more areas that we really wanted to see get covered and just expand out on what we had done.
So just to be clear, it was not as a result of the new information?
It was not, no.
I think it gave some people in the public hope,
Yes.
like, oh, maybe they found something there in that area they're looking. It wasn't that.
It was not. So it was just that we wanted to extend out our search area and cover off areas. Most of these people, they're all volunteers. They just want to find the kids and bring them home. So they're more than willing to keep coming back and keep searching. Unfortunately, at this point, unless something comes up, we're probably not going to be back. But that being said, somebody could find something that brings us back. Children just bring out the best in people when we're in a situation like this. Everybody just wants to come and do everything they can.